Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, Karen Steals My Car on Christmas. After that, am I the jerk for refusing to give my stepdaughter her Christmas present from her grandparents if my son doesn't receive one as well? And after that, boyfriend makes me choose between him or my cat. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to eat any Christmas leftovers. I'd prefer McDonald's, to be honest. You really dried out that turkey, Reddit boy. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen steals my car on Christmas. I'm 16, female, and my dad's family comes from old money. His parents never approved of his relationship with my mother and never did even when she got pregnant. He didn't see me for the first 10 years of my life until my grandparents passed away. Before that, when I was 7, my mother started to date Melissa, my stepmom, who has a daughter named Grace who's 2 years older than me. She used to be mean to me because she had a dad and I didn't. Things got worse when I found out that I did have a dad, he just wasn't around. Her dad had to intervene to make her stop bullying me. 3 years after that, my dad contacted my mom, explained what happened, and we reconnected. Grace's changed too, because at the same time, her dad started to distance from them until he ended up moving 2 states away to be closer to his new wife's family when I turned 13. I remember that during the first few years, if my dad bought me something, he'd buy something for Grace too. Not as big or meaningful, but he never left her out. She usually threw fits at Christmas because he would buy me tech, phones, iPads, laptops, headphones, and only get her clothes. Pretty and good clothes, to be honest. This Christmas was the worst though. Since Grace has to move for uni next year, her mom wanted to bring her grandparents, uncles, cousins, and dad to celebrate. So she asked me to spend New Year's with my dad this year, and I agreed to. My dad got here a few days ago to drop off our gifts, which included a brand new car because now that Grace is moving, she can't drive me around anymore. I was honestly so happy and excited. When Grace and her mom arrived and saw the car, they thought it was for her, from her dad or grandparents, because she's the one leaving for college. But my mom kindly explained to them that my dad had dropped it off for me. They weren't happy about this, but the day went on. They were excited about the small party for Grace. This morning, my mom and Grace were with Grandpa dropping some stuff off, so it was only my stepmom and I. Around 10 a.m., Grace's dad called and said that he wouldn't be able to make it and that he wished her luck before hanging up. It was really messed up. My stepmom was so mad, and when I asked what I could do, she said that she'll show me and started taking all of my presents from underneath the Christmas tree. I was so confused, and when she took my keys, I asked what she thought she was doing. She said, "Grace doesn't need to feel like second best during this Christmas." I said that she couldn't take my things my dad gave me, and she only answered with a, "I'm your mom, I can do whatever I want," and hopped in my car and left. I called my mom to tell her what happened, and after that, I called my dad. He told my moms that if Melissa didn't give back my things, he'll report them as stolen, including my car, and while my mom is torn between us, Melissa and Grace said that I ruined Christmas because my stepmom might go to jail and that not everything is about me. Bruh. Yeah, that's a sad story, isn't it? Stepmom sounds like a monster. I hope she did go to jail. Maybe she'll run into Bubba while she's in there. Instant karma. Am I the jerk for refusing to give my stepdaughter her Christmas present from her grandparents if my son doesn't receive one as well? I, 31 female, have been married to Dan, 39 male, for 7 years and have Nick together, who's 4 male. Dan has a daughter, Mel, who's 11, whose mother passed during childbirth. We met when Mel was 1. Mel's grandparents, Tim and Kim, maternal, used to not be a part of our lives. They never supported my relationship with Dan. They told Mel I was trying to replace her, I didn't love her, and other comments. Dan decided to go no contact as he didn't like how they treated us in front of Mel and how Mel began replicating that behavior. Last Christmas, we all reconciled due to the world events occurring. During this time, Tim and Kim only brought presents for Mel and Dan. Me and my parents were also present, and we both bought presents for them, but it wasn't reciprocated. Nick noticed that his sister and dad got a present, but he didn't. I didn't like the behavior and knew as he got older it'll become more apparent, and I don't want him experiencing that. Me and Dan sat down with them to explain how we felt, but they just acted surprised. I suggested we lay down boundaries and how we'd like to approach any gift-giving holidays to be better prepared in the future. We agreed that for birthdays and Christmas, we'd give gifts to everyone, and it was the thought that counted. Throughout this year, Tim and Kim only bought gifts for Dan and Mel's birthday. My birthday was in March, and Nick was born in April, but we didn't receive anything, not even a card. Sent a text asking if everything was all right, but they said they were busy and wished us a happy birthday. For Kim's birthday, my parents let them stay in their second home so they could go on vacation. They took my parents up on that offer, yet when my parents' birthdays came up, they didn't receive a gift or a text. At this stage, we were all pretty frustrated, and my parents felt like they were being taken advantage of as Tim and Kim were only nice to them until after their holiday. Last week, Tim and Kim came to drop off presents for the kids. They dropped off 2 boxes, both labeled Mel. I texted, assuming they had accidentally written Mel's name twice and asked which was which, but they told me both were for Mel. I asked where Nick's present was, but they said they weren't giving him one. No explanation. I was fuming, so told Dan the situation before responding. We told them that we would not be giving Mel the presents from them unless Nick got one, as it wasn't fair and we had already agreed to gift everyone gifts. They claimed that wasn't fair and we were showing favoritism, and how could we withhold a gift from an innocent kid? I then said that I'd rewrap it and claim it was from Santa. They posted on Facebook about how I was favoring my kid and punishing their grandkid for no reason. This was met with criticism directed towards me. You're the jerk for this instance. Nick isn't related to them at all. These are Mel's maternal grandparents. Her mother passed during childbirth, and you are trying to cut her off from the rest of her mother's family because you want them to pay the toll of buying presents for you, your son, and your parents? That's unreasonable when their only family in your household is Mel. The comments about replacement, etc. were not acceptable, but you did not mention those as having continued or being the issue right now. Your issue is them not buying your entire family presents. As long as they're now cordial with you, that's really all you can ask for. It's so weird how hard you guys keep trying to force these folks to care about a kid they're not related to. Your son has grandparents and parents and doesn't need Tim and Kim. Mel has her dad and them. I don't know what kind of mom you are and would never assume you aren't a great one to her, but at the end of the day, her dad and them are her only biological family. Why would they want to buy a kid that isn't their family presents? Let them have their thing with Mel, and if it's with Mel only and you don't like that, don't contact them more than you have to. I don't mean to be rude, and I apologize if this upsets you, just my take. This set of grandparents have one grandchild living in your home. That grandchild is not your son. Though it would be nice to toss him a little something, they are under no obligation to. Do not cut Mel's maternal grandparents out of her life. They are a thread to her mom and any other extended family members. Mel deserves to know them as much as she wishes. Cut them off, and when Mel gets older, you will become the wicked stepmother who kept her from family and tried to erase all memories of her mother. It may not be what you actually do, but it is the way it will play out. Not everything in life is equal. Not everyone is related. Your son is old enough to have this gently explained. He's also old enough to be taught it is rude to demand gifts just because someone else is getting them. Have your husband explain this because you have not learned it either. You're the jerk. Mel's grandparents owe your son and you nothing but being civil towards you. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or the grandparents? Please let us know. I'm surprised the people on Reddit were actually sticking up for the grandparents. Usually the people on Reddit are, Boyfriend makes me choose between him or my cat. First things first, I, 24 female, have been dating Kyle, 25 male, for 2 months now. He has started to spend the night. Kyle never grew up with pets, so my cat has been an adjustment to him, his words. My cat, Crumb, 4 male, is the most important aspect in my life right now. Like most cat parents, he rules the household. We are very close since I found him abandoned on the side of the road as a 3-month-old kitten and nursed him back to health. Crumb is very docile, but hasn't shown any affection or really interest in Kyle. I don't force it. Crumb does as he does. Lately, Kyle has been complaining about Crumb. I guess he walked into my bathroom to see Crumb rubbing his face against my toothbrush. I have one of the electric ones that stands. He was shocked and told me how disgusting it was. I laughed and said, yeah, that's not great. He demanded I get a new toothbrush, expensive, and I said no. I just put the toothbrush in a drawer. Next, Kyle says he doesn't like my nightly routine with Crumb. I give Crumb a kiss on the head, stomach, and then face before he goes to sleep. He sleeps on my bedside table in a cat bed. If I don't do this routine, he lays on me until I do. I know that's annoying, but that's how it has always been, and I love doing it. Well, Kyle says I am unhygienic because of this. He says Crumb is dirty. He's inside only, and I brush him every day. And even letting him sleep in the bedroom is gross and gets fur everywhere. It doesn't, but Kyle isn't even allergic, so I told him that I put the toothbrush away, but he told me that I took it as a joke and didn't punish Crumb. I tried to explain that you can't punish cats, nor would I want to in this scenario, but he wouldn't hear it. He then went on to say that me kissing Crumb is disgusting, especially his face, and he would never kiss me if I kissed Crumb again. He asked me to put Crumb outside the room when he's over or lock him in a crate. So I said, okay, bye. Not only is Crumb 10,000 times more important to me, but I laughed in Kyle's face about never kissing my cat again or keeping him locked up. This is where I may be the jerk. Kyle told me that I was ruining our future and how mean I am for laughing at his concerns. I felt guilty, so I asked a group of my friends and they were split. The pet owners laughed. The non-pet owners said I'm in the wrong for not making Kyle feel more comfortable. They said that Kyle wasn't asking me to get rid of Crumb, just compromising with him. They said I was being kinda gross and understand his concerns. Not the jerk. Everyone is different, and you are going to get various opinions. After my divorce and I started online dating, and I kept an eye out for profiles where the women had a pet photo. I skipped writing to anyone like that. I am allergic to most animals, if they are kept indoors. And if a woman has a photo of themselves with their pet on their profile, I knew that the pet would be an issue for me. I personally agree with him and the toothbrush, but this is your cat, and you have to find someone who you are compatible with. Just because you date someone doesn't mean you are compatible. That's the point of dating. You can see now that you two are just not compatible. Not the end of the world. It doesn't make either of you wrong either. Just not a match. OP. Thank you for this perspective. I guess I had just been nervous about dating since my last breakup. For some reason, I have this idea in my head that I have to make it work. Kyle is great in literally every other way, so it is sad. Kyle knew I had Crumb before we went on our first date. I also made it super clear how important Crumb is to me. He said he was cool with cats. Everyone sucks here. He sucks because he's got some pretty extreme expectations and is pressuring you. If he genuinely feels this way, he should make sure to date only people without pets. But you're also not looking great here. If you want to build a full, deep relationship with someone, you'll have to recognize that 1. It requires some sacrifices over time and trying to meet the other person's needs, even if you don't completely agree. And 2. That even some pet owners would say your situation is extreme and off-putting. And laughing in his face when he's trying to talk to you about something serious to him is just crappy. Reply. What is extreme and off-putting about her situation? Extreme. The cat is the most important aspect of her life, and there's little willingness to change. This isn't a good starting point for building a relationship with a human. She doesn't sound like she has the emotional bandwidth to connect because the cat is the hyper-focus. Yes, her significant other's expectations are ridiculous, but it doesn't sound as if there is really any room for change, no matter how reasonable someone might be. Off-putting. The cat is allowed on all surfaces, including bathroom and toothbrush contact. I assume that means kitchen too, which is just disgusting. Sleeps right next to her head or on her, is given his way if he makes noise or doesn't like a change in routine. If I were starting to date someone and these things were true, we'd be done. I've had several cats. I think they're amazing, but there are methods to help them stay off of your food prep and personal hygiene surfaces. I'm going to go against the grain here and say you're the jerk. I don't care that he's an indoor cat, and good for you by the way, that's really good. He still uses his tongue as toilet paper. What you're doing is quite gross, and pets need boundaries and discipline. I've owned 4 cats in the past, and I currently have 2 dogs. I get it. I love my animals, and I'm sure you do too. But your animals shouldn't be in charge of the house. You're the jerk. I've learned over the years that if a girl has a cat, she's cool to have fun with, if you know what I mean. but not to be with long term. Same thing if she has indoor dogs. If I walk in there and it smells like wet dog, I'm ghosting you ASAP.
Yowza, what did Fluffy ever do to you?
Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or Kyle? Please let us know.
There's two types of people in this world. Those who love cats, and those who forget to thumbs up our videos for YouTube's algorithm. I'm talking to you.
Am I the jerk for calling out my mom about her gift-giving methods when I was a kid? We had our usual immediate family gathering for the gift opening, and the kids enjoyed. My mom was recounting how she would always give me what I wanted, but she only stopped after I was grown and she changed religions. I did a double take and said, "You showed me what you'd gotten me, but I never actually got it." She argued she gave me what I wanted and had pictures to prove it. Now, my mom had a habit of buying me what I wanted for Christmas, allowing me to take the wrapping off, take pictures of me with the gift, but then taking the actual present from me and putting it away, saying,
"I got you this, but you're on punishment, so you can't have it now."
Then I would never see it again. I'd ask for it months later, and she again would say I'm on punishment for whatever and couldn't even have it. She would keep these items and present them to me as an adult when she was cleaning out closets. It was a mean method and still upsets me when she gives me the items. I told her this and she denied it. My family was appalled. My mom then tried to backtrack and say she took them because I always broke them. I say, how can I break it if I never even got it? And you're giving me the pristine items as an adult. She didn't have an answer, so I let it go and we carried on. Later, she approached me and said I embarrassed her in front of the family and it was unfair. I apologized, but I didn't think it was fair to act like she had always given me what I wanted when she didn't. She's still quite upset with me. Am I the jerk for calling her out? Edit. I see a few asking why I'm still in contact with her. Honestly, because I'm soft and she's my mom. There was a couple of years I did go no contact and it was hard, but I used that time to find my footing emotionally. During that time, I met my hubby and his family and friends. That experience opened my eyes to how a healthy family functions. It was magical, for lack of a better term. They all accepted me with love and open arms. Once I had a real foundation to build on, we started our family. I'm low contact with my mom now, but I didn't want to deny her grandkids. We've discussed a lot of the things done over my childhood, and I've gotten similar responses from her. It hurt and sucked, but I feel I got what I needed off my chest, and instead of holding a grudge for something I can't change, just move forward within my own set boundaries. We have hiccups, but all in all, I'm okay. Not great, but okay. Thank you everyone for your kind words and advice. I really appreciate it. Edit 2. For those concerned about my kids, I have set boundaries with her about my kids. If there's an inkling of any treatment she gave me, she's gone. She knows this and has not tested it. I also don't leave her alone with them. I don't play about my babies. Not the jerk. So your mom would buy you a gift, take pictures of you unwrapping it, then take it away for some BS reason, probably to return it and get her money back? Yeah, that's going to catch up with you one day. OP. She didn't get the money back. She has given me items as an adult that I'd wanted when I was like 7 after she cleaned out her closets. Like, oh, here's that easy bake oven you wanted. I kept it all these years for you. Then I'm like, Mom, I'm 28. What am I gonna do with an easy bake now? I accidentally got a guest fired once. I am no longer in the game, laid off just before lockdown, but stick around this sub to remind myself what I miss and don't miss about the industry. I thought I would dust off a few of my tales from back in the day. I was working as the front office manager of a mid-level 162-room property. Around 7 a.m. shift change, I get a text from my overnight security. Is GM in today, or who's manager on duty? Me. GM is out of town, so it's a combo of chief engineer and me. I'm planning on being in around 9-ish, but chief should be there shortly. What's up? Security. Had to punt on a maintenance issue at midnight. No biggie. Left both of you a note. Didn't want to do a full report if I didn't have to. Let me know if you have questions. When I get to the hotel, I discover that we were sold out the previous night, and when our last guest checked into room 413, none of the lights in the bathroom were working. Security and audit stole some lamps from my office to get the guests some light in the bathroom. About 11, Chief lets me know he's going up to look at the lighting situation in 413. A few minutes later, he calls down to me to ask for details on the guest in 413. I pull up the reservation and I have a name, 2 registered guests on a 2-night stay checking out tomorrow. Chief tells me when he knocked on the door and spoke to the guy in the room, he was certain he smelled green. I told Chief to wait for me to come up and join him at the room. When we get there, dude bro is just stepping out of the room, eyes clearly glazed over. Hey, you weren't smoking anything in there, were you? No, man. It was my roommate. I was asleep, man. Well, I don't care who it was. I'm kicking you out of my hotel. Cops will be here in a half hour. I suggest you be gone by then. 45 minutes later, Chief and I go back to 413. Room's empty, so we start looking to make sure housekeeping isn't going to find anything they shouldn't be there. Chief calls to me from the bathroom. Hey, notice anything unexpected? I poke my head in to see what he's talking about and find him flipping the lights on and off. Seeing my puzzled look, he says, "Lights work, and your lamps aren't in here." We have a good laugh on our way down to our offices, thinking we misread the note. Nope, both of us had a note saying the room with bathroom lamps was 413. I check with my front desk agent, and she says the auditor told her 413. I call my security guard. She says she can't remember which room it was, but knew it was across from the elevator. Sure enough, room 314 checked in right around midnight, and Chief found my missing lamps. A few hours later, my desk agent calls, saying there's a lady on the phone asking about some credit card charges. I take the call, and it's the boss of Dude Bro and his friend, asking why their card had charges for 2 nights plus almost $300 extra, and they had to call her to get their spending limit increased. I told her that it was because we kicked them out because we caught them smoking in the room, and charged them for the second night because the room was out of order, plus a $250 tax cleaning fee. Her response: I would like to apologize for the actions of my soon-to-be former employees. Reply: we had something similar happen. We had a long-term guest who worked for a construction company from a neighboring state here to oversee construction on a new Tesla showroom my town is getting. He was pretty much working remotely when he took the remotely part too far. His head office got a call from some subcontractors who said they hadn't seen the guy in weeks and needed him at the job site, so his office called us at the desk asking if we had seen him and to do a wellness check because they couldn't reach him on his phone. My supervisor asked me to double check the room number, and I blurted out, "Oh, you mean the guy who only comes out of his room to buy 2 bottles of wine every night?" Not realizing my boss didn't put the call on hold. Well, the boss at his office heard my comment and immediately asked for a copy of his bill, including the incidental charges, and saw all the wine and beer charges. Next thing we saw was dude coming to the desk with all his luggage, saying he was leaving because he was let go. His company refused to pay his incidentals, and dude didn't have the $800 to cover what his company wouldn't, and he shut off his credit card, so we couldn't even try to charge it. So we ended up having to write it off as bad debt. Rigged a group assignment and getting the Polytech to pay me $500 as a result. It's late, and I just remembered the awesome malicious compliance on a group project for my business degree at Polytech about 9 years ago. Please forgive my memory. It was my second semester, and I've since gone on to complete postgrad. The paper was business computing. It was a compulsory paper for business students, think accounting, marketing, and management majors, and the information technology students, which was an entirely different degree, but both had this same core entry-level paper. I tried to get cross-credit for this paper based on my skills and programming qualification, but no joy. We were put into teams of 5. I found my notebook, and it says we had to deliver a presentation, website, social media profile on Twitter and Facebook, write a research report, and back that up with a spreadsheet containing charts. Yeah, basic crap. This assignment is worth 20% of our final grade, and another 5% was writing a reflection on what working as a group taught us. I'll circle back to that. Half of the assignment grade was not on our content or delivery. It was based on is having 30 or so marks to hand out to other team members based on their perceived performance. Maximum of 10 marks, or 10% of your final grade, could be given to another team member, I think. The marks in the rules are a bit hazy, but what we did isn't hazy at all. Sure enough, like any group project, 3 of us did all the work and 2 didn't even front, not even for their final deliverable of the presentation. Pity. If they had made our practice beforehand, they could have wised up to our plan. Myself and the 2 others worked out we could all award each other 10 points and the 2 project freeloaders whatever was left, but there was nothing to say we had to give them points, so we didn't. So sure enough, we all patted ourselves on the back, nailed the deliverables, and scored full marks on the assignment. The other two didn't even manage a passing grade and had to retake the paper the next semester. I didn't see those two students around after that. Remember that reflection? I wrote in mine about how the system could be rigged and people could get grades for doing nothing if they hadn't wised up to the system. That as a team, we voted strategically. Full marks. The absolute kicker, I finished the paper with a final grade of 99.5% and took out the top student award, along with a $500 top student prize. How about that, Mr. Dean of Business School, who said I didn't know enough about computers to get a cross credit? You now have to pay me $500. It was the second argument that year he had lost to me. Am I the jerk for getting a guy fired for confronting me in the lobby where my dad works? This happened last Thursday, by the way. My dad is one of the executives at a media tech company. Before lockdown, I, 16 male, was always there after school. It's a pretty big building, so some of the offices there are closed because people are working from home, so it's not so many people hanging in the lobby like before. My mom dropped me off there because my dad was in a meeting and we were gonna go eat lunch after. I'm there waiting in the lobby with my backpack and this guy from across keeps looking at me. He's there with some other people. The lobby is big, so there's always others that are there on lunch break. Then he comes to me trying to be friendly at first. Then he asks if I work in the building. It's obvious I don't work there, so don't know why he asked. Everyone else is in suits with their security pass sticking out. I told him I'm waiting for someone. He says only employees are allowed in the lobby because of lockdown. It's obviously BS. They haven't made any rules like that. But he wouldn't leave me alone. The security guy that was at the front even told him so when he tried to ask him to escort me out. He looked annoyed by then and telling me that lots of homeless people have been coming in, lying about that too, so I should just leave already. Security at the desk told him I'm allowed to be there. It was back and forth for like almost 10 minutes. I'm already upset, so I told him to just buzz off already. When I told him who my dad was, he laughed like he didn't believe me. My dad texted me then that he's outside, so all I said was, whatever. In the car, my dad saw I was mad, and after I told him what had happened, he was asking me do I remember the guy's name, if he said what department he was from and what he was wearing. I just told him what I remembered. He ended up finding out who he was and called up his supervisor. They let the guy go. My dad says the guy should have known better than to lie or cause a scene like that in their building. He told me to drop it. I just didn't think they were gonna get that extreme with it. My dad was really mad about it. I keep thinking about it now, if I shouldn't have said anything at all. He was being a jerk, yeah, and I was mad. Does it make me a jerk that I helped him get fired though? Not the jerk. You didn't get him fired. He got himself fired. He was abrasive, ignored the security guard's assurance that you were supposed to be there, lied about company policy, and essentially called you a liar by laughing when you finally dropped your dad's name. I'm assuming you tried to avoid that because it totally feels like saying, "Don't you know who I am?" It was not your call and it wasn't your fault. That he got canned instead of written up suggests that he may have already been on thin ice. Am I the jerk for not removing butter from the breakfasts I make for my whole family? I, 16 female, live with my parents and my two older brothers. A couple of months ago, I decided I needed to gain some weight. I am technically underweight, and honestly I didn't really like the way I looked or felt. I found a bunch of ways to add some more calories into my diet, and one of those was actually eating breakfast. In the past, I rarely ate breakfast, and I never ate a breakfast that was a whole meal. So I started cooking myself breakfast every day. Not only is it delicious and helps me gain weight, but I also enjoy relaxing in the morning by cooking something. I make a lot of different things, but to give you an idea, this past week I've made waffles, breakfast burritos, egg sandwiches, and oatmeal. When I first started cooking breakfast, my parents and brothers, who work from home at the moment, asked me if I could make some for them too. I said sure because I was already cooking, so it didn't bother me. Since then, I've been making 5 portions of breakfast every morning, and everyone has been enjoying it. And I've gained 5 pounds. About a week ago though, my parents and my oldest brother went on a sort of a health kick. They decided they wanted to eat healthier and cut down on how much fat and sugar they were eating. That's not really what I need personally, but whatever, I don't care what they eat. They decided to swap out sugar with stevia, buy these healthy yogurts with no sugar, and swap out butter with margarine. They also decided that they wouldn't cook with fats anymore, they would just use Pam. My other brother and I don't follow any of these things, Personally, I think I'm healthy enough, and the amount of sugar and butter I eat isn't going to hurt me. So I still put sugar and butter into breakfast and cook with butter or oil too. Yesterday, we were all eating breakfast, and my dad asked me what was in the waffles. So I told him flour, butter, sugar, etc. He seemed surprised and asked why I didn't just use the stevia and margarine. I told him because I don't really like them, and I'm trying to gain weight, so using low-calorie alternatives doesn't seem like the best idea. Then my dad asked me if I could just switch to Pam when I cooked stuff to reduce the calories a little. I told him absolutely not. Since then, my mom and other brother have tried convincing me. I've told them no several times, and now they're angry that I won't compromise. I told them if they wanted to use their low-calorie stuff, they could cook themselves. They think I'm being inconsiderate of their health and that I'm just being rude. My dad even went so far as to threaten to stop buying sugar and butter if I wouldn't be more considerate of them. I think that if I do compromise, eventually they'll ask me to swap out more and more stuff until I'm barely eating more than before. Am I the jerk?
Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.
Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.